My name is Dino. I'm 32 years old, married, and work as a scaffolder for a small company in Cairns for North Queensland, Australia. I moved here from a small country town at the top of Victoria called Melindra roughly 8 years ago, with then my girlfriend of 3 years. I have always been very skeptical about ghosts and thought it was just a market to make money, until that day. It was the middle of summer, very hot and humid. Me and Angela, my girlfriend, jumped into my work vehicle and was going to get home and get some lunch, and she wanted to go to Job Hi-Fi to grab some CDs. With me driving and her in the front passenger seat, we were driving down the main road. It is called Captain Cook Highway. When to the left of us, on the side of the road, was a woman with dark hair and a beautiful white wedding dress. She had a very scared and troubled look on her face, and she was lifting up the bottom of her dress so it would not touch the dirty road. It looked like she had no shoes on, and it looked also as if she had her feet burnt to a crisp. Once I had driven past her, my girlfriend said, "Did you even see the woman in the wedding dress?" I replied, "Yes, let's go back and see if she is okay," as she looked really upset. So I turned around and headed back. It must have been no more than 40 seconds before we were back to where we spotted her, and she was completely gone. Now, this is a highway, and there were no houses or people around, and there was only horse paddocks and a slight steep cliff, so there is nowhere to go or even hide. Me and my girlfriend were in complete shock and could not believe what we just saw. I had never told anybody this until recently, when my mate Ryan came over. We were watching Netflix, some paranormal show was on, and I felt comfortable enough to tell him. I told him, "Hey, I think me and my ex-girlfriend may have seen a ghost." He said, "Oh yeah? Where about?" And I explained that between the Carnivica roundabout and the Yorkies roundabout on the Captain Cook Highway. He looked straight at me and said it wasn't a woman in a wedding dress, was it? My skin started crawling. I stammered yes. He said he saw the same thing near Lake Placid that is roughly a couple of kilometers from where I saw her. He said he was getting dropped home late one night from a party, and he saw her walking on the side of the road. Thank you for reading my story. Back in the early 1980s, my now ex-husband, we'll call him Ed, my then 3-year-old son, and I moved into our first house. Ed started out as a one-room schoolhouse. I discovered proof with the removal of layers of wallpaper, revealed old state chalkboards, and had grown into a monstrously large farmhouse-type structure due to folks adding on over the years. The place had a lot of quirks. For instance, the main floor had 2 full bathrooms, a very large country-type kitchen, and a smaller galley-type kitchen in what one time served as a mother-in-law apartment. This is also where the second bathroom was. Inside that apartment was also a Murphy ironing board that folded up into the wall. What I found very odd was at some point, someone had removed the interior doors that would have shut the 2 units off from each other. As a result, you could literally do laps around the ground floor. The front door led into a nice-sized living room. From there, you could see the staircase that led up to the 2 bedrooms upstairs. Another quirk: the upstairs rooms were not separated by a hallway of any sort. The top stairs split into 2 triangle stairs, one on the left, one on the right, and these faced the bedroom doors. I won't make you suffer through a lengthy description of the place. However, I thought these were points of interest that may aid with understanding the events that would take place here. Our first night in the place, I distinctly heard someone rummaging through the moving boxes downstairs. I sat up in bed and listened, deciphering normal house sounds from those that seemed like someone was moving around. I looked over at my sleeping husband and slid out from under the covers and cautiously crossed over into my son's room. I lifted his sleeping form and returned with him to my room, depositing him on my bed. Someone downstairs coughed. I shook Ed awake. "Someone's downstairs," I hissed. "Go check it out." After a few groggy swears, he informed me that I could check it out for myself. Something downstairs toppled over. I about wet myself. If we had an upstairs phone, we would in later years, and this was pre-cell phone days, I would have stayed put and called the cops. As it was, I gripped my ball bat and made my way down the stairs, flipping on the lights as I went. I didn't want to surprise whomever had broken in, and I really hoped they'd just run away. I could see into the living room. Boxes were strewn about, giving voice that someone had been going through them. I made my way through the entire lower floor, leaving lights burning in my wake as I checked every nook and cranny while straining my ears. While I didn't wish to confront whomever it was, I didn't want them surprising me either. On my way, I double-checked the doors and windows to be sure they were shut and locked tight. Finally, there was only one room left, the bathroom in the apartment. I pushed the door open hard, and in the dimness, saw someone staring back at me. As I reached for the light switch, I saw them move towards me. I bellowed loudly, swinging the bat with all my might. There was a tremendous crash of breaking glass as shards went flying in all directions. I fumbled for the switch again, and as it came on, realized that I had slinged a mirror that Ed had perched on the toilet tank. I wish he had told me. I fetched the broom and dustpan, feeling very foolish, and had just swept the bulk into a pile when there was a very loud banging at the front door. Neighbors hearing my scream had called the cops. Just try explaining that your own reflection had scared you that badly. At least they didn't laugh in front of me, but they grew very somber, learning that Ed, at 6'4", had stayed upstairs during the entire time and had only come down when their knock summoned us. I still recall them looking down at me, over at him, and back again with something that seemed to be a mixture of disbelief and disgust. So you, one pointed at me, came down to investigate, and you, he looked at Ed, stayed upstairs? Then things got weird. Cop A decided to see where this mirror was and check out the house to be sure it was secure, taking me in tow. Cop B stayed with Ed. I learned later that they had their own little chat, which left Ed feeling somewhat badly. As we approached the bathroom, I said, "Be careful, that glass went everywhere." But there was no glass to be seen, not a shard. The mirror sat on the toilet tank. Seeing it, in the light, I realized I had never seen this mirror before, but I knew I had broken it. I had heard the glass smash. The broom and dustpan still sat in the door where I had left them. Weird. Very, very weird. After the cops left, I asked Ed where the mirror had come from. He said he'd found it in the basement. He went back to bed, and I went back to check the mirror out better. It was a rectangular in shape, the glass itself a bit wavy looking, with a few light spots and tiny clear areas. Its framing was very ornate, tiny, interwoven vines interspersed with leaves and flowers. It was obviously an antique. Exactly how old, I wasn't sure, but guessed early to mid-1800s. I wanted to examine it, look for a manufacturer's mark, or possibly a date, but something about it made me feel strange. I reasoned that given the whole weirdness that had happened, the hour, and the move, perhaps it would have been wiser to wait for the light of day. I closed the door and went back up to bed, but not before saying a prayer of protection and adding that anything unkind was not welcomed in my home. The next day was very anticlimactic, at least in the weird department. Ed's family had swooped in on us to help. If you ask me, it was more of a way for his mother to dictate the way she thought we should decorate, complete with paint chips she thought would be just the colors we should use. And wouldn't that chair look better over there, I advise. She expressed an interest in the mirror when she saw it. The woman absolutely gushed over it, and before I could say one word more, Ed gifted it to her. I never saw it again, and oddly, whenever I'd bring it up, the subject would be changed. This morning, I woke up at about 3 a.m. I couldn't sleep for whatever reason. I turned and tossed until it started to look like it was starting to get daylight outside. Still dark, but not black outside. I was just laying in bed with my eyes closed, but I was awake. I opened my eyes to see my boyfriend sitting on the floor next to our bed, or so I thought. It didn't scare me at first because I thought it was actually him. I looked at him very inquisitively, but couldn't speak. He looked at me back like a confused dog or something, with his head all sideways. For some reason, the way he moved frightened me. I found myself leaping backwards to the other side of my bed, where I felt my boyfriend lay asleep. I thought to myself, is this real? I covered my eyes with my blanket because I was so scared. I thought it was because my eyes were adjusting. When I pulled the blanket back down and looked again, he hadn't moved, only reached towards me. I just lay there stiff as a board. I was too afraid to move or even speak. He sat there in the same position for what seemed like a very long time to me. The only thing that wasn't his were his eyes. They were black and white. He then laid down on the floor and was gone. When I felt like it wasn't coming back, I reached over to the light by our bed and flipped it on and just sat at the edge of our bed and wondered what just had happened to me. I'm afraid that it will keep happening. This has never happened to me before until last night. Someone please help me understand. What could this have been? What did it want? Someone was telling me that it was a bad thing, that other spirits like demonic things can form to look like loved ones. Is this true? Thanks for reading. Hey, Phantom popping in just for a brief moment. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I actually really liked making this one, and I really hope it turned out well for you guys. Just want to let you know, I hate doing this so much, but because, you know, I want to make myself relevant to a degree, could you please share my videos across social platforms and make sure you comment and like this video? It would mean a lot to me, and, you know, I feel like I'm really hitting a stride here, and I feel like we're creating something special as well. So if you wanted to go ahead, in the comments below, type what you think about these stories and, you know, share across the platforms that I mentioned. That would be really appreciated. Thank you so much, guys. Love you, and I'll try to make a longer video, and happy Valentine's Day, I guess, even though I don't really care about it. But, you know, whatever. See ya.